Hello, it's the Inquiring Cat here, does recruitment. And this is episode 3 of how to write a knockout CV. And if you haven't watched the first 2 episodes, please do. The first one covers content of the CV through from the testimonials to case studies and things like that. And episode 2 talking about the layout and style of your CV. But here in episode 3, we're going to talk about how long should your CV be. This is a question I get asked a lot, particularly by more experienced candidates with a long career behind them. So I'm going to break it really into 3 particular sections. The first, we're going to talk about students, graduates. The second, people maybe in their mid-career. And the third section will be those who are a bit long in the tooth and have a lot of experience to share as an applicant. So if you're a student or if you're a graduate, you may feel that you haven't got much to put in your CV, but you have, because anything that you've done in the past by way of holiday jobs, internships, should be featured in the CV, and you need to think about the skills that you acquired while you were doing those roles and get them down as skills that you can share with a new employer. And the truth is that, of course, what is really popular for people to see is that you've done something by way of volunteer work or doing something with a charity, because it says something about you as a person. Now, what recruiters are far less keen to see is that mum and dad paid for you to have an exotic gap year traveling the world. These days, it's rather passé. And what they would rather see is that if you did have a gap year, and lucky old you, because I didn't have one, then that you've used it productively to develop some skills and maybe do some good somewhere in the world while you were traveling. So I think that's really important for the student and graduate applicants. When we think about people in their mid-career, their CV starts to get a little bit longer. You want it to be ideally 2, maybe 3 pages maximum. Now, one particular sector or cohort that I've worked with in the past is people who've come out of the services, so veterans coming out of the armed forces. And very often they are confused and somewhat discombobulated as to how their service experience can translate into the commercial world. You will have done many things apart from marching up and down on a parade ground learning to march in step. You will have perhaps done courses in electrical engineering or in carpentry or in motor engineering. And you will have almost certainly, even if you didn't realize it at the time, have picked up some incredibly good skills around project management. So you need to think about everything that you did while you're in the services and how that could be transformed over into the commercial sector. Now, when we talk about the more mature candidate with a lifetime of experience under their belt, the temptation is to try and do everything on that CV going back to the year dot. Well, I started my career as a clerk in a sales office at a company called United Glass, doing paperwork for the clients and for the factories to know what to make. Nobody today would be remotely interested in that. Was how I started my career. What you want to focus on is the last 10 years. Because if you have a 5 or 6 page CV going back much beyond that, I'm afraid it's unlikely to be read in depth at all. Now, there's a particular problem for the IT community, I find. They tend to have a vast range of experience of different softwares and programs. Well, you know, IT, I can hardly spell IT, but if you have got an IT background and you feel you want to share everything from the year dot, you should have the skill set to build a website, maybe through a platform like Vistaprint using Wix. And by the way, the Inquiring Cat website will be going live shortly, and I built it myself. And really, I'm not very competent on a computer. So if I can do it, you can certainly do it. And as an IT person, that should be beyond question. And you can, in your CV, refer to the fact that if people want detail of what you did before the previous 10 years, it is all enumerated down to the minutiae in that website, and refer them to it in your CV. So there's a few things to think about in terms of length of CV. People these days consume in a very short time span, which is why these clips I do are no more than around about 5 minutes. This one's running at 5:05. So people don't stay online much longer than that to consume material, and that includes looking at your CV. So I wish you well. Next week we've got some really interesting stuff coming up on how to write a knockout covering letter to go with your CV. Very important stuff. So if you've liked what you've heard today, please press the like button and be sure to subscribe, because that way you'll know when we're coming online next week with how to write a knockout covering letter to go with the knockout CV you've now crafted. So have a great week. Good luck in your job hunt. Cheers for now.